Welcome to U Talk. I'm Megan Demolina, school counselor at Noble Middle School. Our show is all about the middle school student. We discuss social media, relationships, bullying, academics, stress, and so much more. Joining us each month is a dynamic and engaging panel of middle school students ready to discuss the issues and tackle the tough questions. We kick off our show with some Q&A featuring questions on a variety of topics from middle schools throughout the school system that our panel of students are ready to answer. No question or topic is too difficult. All right, panelists, here is question number 1. I moved to a new school around 3 years ago, and I have struggled to make friends. I have tried my hardest to make everyone happy, but they all seem to hate me. I'm not sure if they think I'm weird because of my medical condition or if I'm doing something wrong. I didn't have such problems at my old school, and I am out of ideas for what to do. How do you suggest we help the student who's struggling, making some friends and getting reconnected after moving into a new school? What are some ideas or tips or strategies, advice?
I think you should just be yourself. During your question, you said that she tried or he tried to make everyone happy. You shouldn't try to make someone happy. You should just be yourself.
Absolutely. Self-love, self-acceptance, and then trying to find others who accept you for who you are, right? Anyone else have an idea or suggestion?
I moved to a new school when I was in 3rd grade. It took me a while, but I eventually ended up finding friends. One of my friends, her name is Kyla Berg. I just really showed her who I was, and she liked me for who I was. So don't let them turn you into someone you're not.
Sure. And thank you for sharing that, Sadie. I think you brought up a really good point about sometimes it really does just take some time, and you have to, cultivate that relationship, reach out a little bit, get to know people in your class, in your school, whether it's in the classroom, in the hallway, at lunch, recess, or even outside of school, maybe doing some activities or extracurricular things outside of school. What were you going to say, Lucas?
Yeah, definitely be yourself and just introduce yourself, and if they don't like you, that's their fault.
That's a great mindset and just kind of a reminder to all of us that, we try to put positive vibes out into the universe, and it's really important to encourage those who are new to any school, whether it's our school or any school in New Hanover County or in North Carolina or in the whole country or the whole world, wherever that is for anyone. Kind of reaching and searching for that connection to peer acceptance, right? Mm-hmm. And just making friends, but encouraging them to sit with you at lunch or introduce them to your peer circle, and making sure that they don't feel, disconnected from school.
It can be tough. And you can always talk to a teacher or counselor, and they can try to sit you beside some kids who make friends easily. Or they can just try to help you out a little bit too.
Right. Everyone needs a little TLC, right? A little extra love and support. Yeah. The next question we have says, no one speaks to me at my table, and I feel completely ignored. Only 2 people notice me. I want to change to another table, but I'm too afraid to ask my teacher. What do I do? And this might apply to like a classroom setup, maybe working in groups, or the way that the classroom is laid out, or maybe even a lunchroom kind of setup. I know sometimes lunch tables are assigned or classroom tables and groups are assigned. What recommendations do you have for this student?
Well, I suggest that you said that only 2 people noticed you at your table, but I mean at least it's 2 in general. Maybe try and hang out with them, and if they aren't who you want to be friends with, you can talk to a teacher, and I'm sure they'll understand because they were a student once too.
Absolutely, we've all been there. We're going through it now. You all are going through it now as middle school students. adults and teachers and staff members in your building have all gone through it. And so if we all kind of rally together and help each other through, you also brought up another good point about 2 is better than 0, right? And so focusing on the 2 that are at the table with you, asking them questions, getting to know each other, finding out what you have in common and what's different, what makes you special, what makes you unique. That's the fabric of our human race, that we all, fit into the puzzle somehow. We just have to make that effort, and we have to continue to, focus on the positive things. What were you going to say, Lucas?
I forgot.
No worries. Any other?
It can be tough because my friend had to go to a teacher and ask her to move seats because she couldn't focus. And I think you just need to talk to the teacher, even though it can be hard, and she'll help you put in a seat. Or just talk to those 2 people, like Sadie said.
Exactly. Lucas is
So,
back. He remembered his thought.
So at the beginning of the year, I only knew one person in my class named Adler, and I only sat beside him. But then I started to get to know everybody. So you just introduce yourself to different people,
Right.
and then they'll be your friend, I guess.
Right. Slowly your circle builds, and you meet more people. And I think sometimes, though, we think, oh, I have to have a lot of friends to be accepted. And sometimes it's just a handful.
It's good to have friends, though.
Right.
You don't need a large group to keep you happy. You just need the people who you're happy around.
Exactly. It brings it back to the quality of the friendship and the relationships that you make versus the quantity. So that's a really good point. This last question that we have today says, I get bullied at school because I've just started wearing glasses. What should I do? And we know that glasses just change, someone's look or appearance a little bit. But how do any of you wear glasses at all or any time? How do you handle that when someone's got a different, hairstyle or glasses or something that, stands out a little bit? What advice do you have for this student to help
Just
them
really
feel
just
better?
be yourself and let people know who you actually are, and they will accept you for that.
Right.
And over time, they will accept your flaws and all the things you do
Sure.
if they're your real friends.
Real friends, right? The quality friends that we were just talking about. I think sometimes, a lot of middle school students just notice the obvious when things change or when things are different. And so maybe sometimes someone's saying something like, oh, hey, you got new glasses. It's not maybe always like a threat per se, but just maybe a comment. And sometimes you just have to learn how to find an appropriate response so you can handle that situation regardless of how it makes you feel, and just say, yeah, you like my new glasses, or, oh, thanks for noticing. So finding that kind of response is another tool that we need to socially engage with others, and just say, yeah, this is my new thing, and this is what I need to do to help me read better and to see better. So
When I was in 3rd grade and 4th grade, I had braces, and I got bullied here and there. The best part is to just tell a teacher or to avoid the bully and stick with your friends who appreciate you no matter what you look like.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
By the way, you also, you don't have to tell a teacher, just a teacher. You can tell your parents or the other person's parents. It's just not always a teacher. In the previous questions, they were scared of talking to teachers or counselors, but I don't think you should be. You should be proud to talk to them.
Sure. Find an approachable, trusted adult that you can talk with, and maybe if it's happening to you or you see it happening to someone else in your class, it's definitely important to stand up and speak up and say something. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show today. Yeah. That wraps up U Talk Q&A. Coming up in our next segment, Mrs. Turner and our panel of students discuss creating a diverse community where everyone is accepted, included, and included. Don't go away. We have much more U Talk ahead.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to UTalk. I'm Paige Turner, school counselor at Noble Middle School. Last month was National Bullying Prevention Awareness Month, and on October 23rd, New Hanover County Schools participated in Unity Day. This event encourages everyone to wear orange to show we are together against bullying and united for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. Unfortunately, bullying continues to be a difficult issue affecting our youth today. Our panel of knowledgeable students is going to discuss this complex topic and provide a little insight into building a stronger school community. Welcome back, guys. So obviously we're talking a lot today about bullying, you know, on the negative side, but on the positive side, how you guys and your school is creating a sense of community so that everybody feels included, everybody feels like they matter. And so what are some things that you guys think that you either personally do to help promote that, or your class does as a group? Is there anything in particular that you guys?
Well, as a school, like today, everybody's wearing orange.
Right. So for Unity Day, that was something that everybody was doing to promote that, and it's something that we talk about for sure. And we've had Noble Against Bullying Week, so we're definitely trying to put that out there so everybody is aware, because the first step in combating anything is awareness. But what steps, like what proactive steps do you feel like you guys or your teachers are taking?
My class, we have like a group chat and we all like talk, and then for birthdays we make like posters for each other, we all sign it, and we're just like, my class is like a little family, I guess.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So you guys are trying to do a little bit extra other than just being in the class together, you know,
Yeah.
learning and doing your work. You're trying to extend that, you know, sense of community through social media, which obviously is a hot topic, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about another time. But yeah.
For my class, my teacher they say they're on high alert. They're watching out in case one of us is getting bullied or something related to that. That way they can stop it before it gets out of hand.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great, you know, I think we all need to be on high alert for that, you know. I think the teachers definitely, because they're the adults in the classroom, but each of us can be that person in the classroom too. And if you see somebody that doesn't seem to be, you know, a part of the group or sitting by themselves, you know, make sure that they're, you know, feel welcome to join your group or to do what you're doing, just so that they feel part of something.
And if you are being bullied, definitely go see a counselor or a parent that you trust.
Absolutely, absolutely, because we know, unfortunately, that it happens. And in middle school, unfortunately, it happens a lot. And if the adults and the grown-ups in the school don't know that it's happening, then we can't do anything to help stop it. And I think, you know, a little bit later, you guys are going to talk about the steps to report that with Ms. Demelina. So let's talk about places or times that you feel like that students may feel like that they're not being included, or might feel a little bit isolated. Are there certain times during the day that it could happen more so than others?
Definitely like PE or recess. That's one of the big times.
Recess and lunch for sure.
Yeah,
And now it's most likely on your phones at home.
true.
Bullying.
Absolutely. So, you know, we'll talk about that in just a second, because I think that's a great point. You know, so at school, you feel like those unstructured times, like at lunch and recess, when, you know, you guys are free to socialize and to hang out with whom you want. That's when sometimes students kind of are alone and feel isolated. And then, like you were saying, Lucas, electronically, you know, you might not be included in a group chat, or, you know, people could talk about somebody else, you know, through Snapchat or, you know, Instagram, whatever.
The main reason that it happens is because of our differences, and we're not the same, because it feels like you wouldn't bully yourself. Well, most people wouldn't.
Right.
So, but if we're all the same, it would be really boring. So,
Absolutely. Do you think sometimes there's just maybe a lack of information and just not knowing somebody well
yeah,
enough?
when you know in someone's story, you treat you'll think of them a lot differently.
Right, right. You might make judgments or assumptions
Yeah.
based on, things that may or may not be true.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever feel pressured by other friends to exclude, or maybe not you particularly, but do you think that that's part of it too?
Yeah.
Is that you want to be included by certain friends, and so I can't really talk to that person because those friends might not
Yeah.
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah, because you think, like, some friends will be like, ew, and it's not nice. You should include everyone. You shouldn't be mean to one person.
Yeah.
You should include everyone.
Absolutely. And I think, with the pressure, you guys could, as a group, could support each other to be positive influencers, right? Instead of negative influencers. So, maybe hang around and choose peers and friends that are going to be the ones that are going to be inclusive of other people. And if you have friends that are pressuring you not to talk to somebody just because they don't like the other person, or they think that, that you shouldn't talk to them, then maybe you need to reconsider that friendship.
They don't control you.
Exactly. They're not like the puppet master and, pulling your strings, right? And I know it's hard. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but it's, it happens a lot, for sure. So let's really quick before we end this segment. So lunch and recess you've identified are probably the prime areas
In the halls, I'd say.
in the hallways. So how do you think you guys or our school could create a greater sense of community in those times of the day? It's a tough question. Yeah.
Like, during lunch, like, I know you can't move to different tables, but if you don't see anyone at like recess, like at recess, you can see someone sitting not playing with anyone, and you should go and ask your friends, and if they don't want to hang out with them, that one person, then it's you shouldn't hang out with them because they're being the bad person, and you should go hang out with someone else, like that one person, so they don't feel left out.
I think that you shouldn't disclude anyone. Like, if somebody's in your group, you shouldn't kick them out. If somebody's at your table, you should join them instead of leaving them alone.
So maybe if everybody, like you had mentioned earlier, being on high alert, when you're in the cafeteria, now it depends on if you have to sit at a table, your own table by your class or things like that. But on Free Seating Fridays, that you could maybe just make it a habit of, I'm going to scan the cafeteria really quick and see if there's anybody that just looks like they're by themselves, and make a point of going and saying, hey, do you want to come join us?
It's hard because our recesses are split. So like you might have all your friends in one, and you might be in like, and it's tough because you're like, I'm not really friends with any of these people,
Right.
but like your close friends are in the other one.
Right. So in that situation, it may be that it's not that you don't have any friends, it's just your closer friends are in a different lunch. So you may find yourself in the position of somebody, who maybe
Not
doesn't
everyone's
have many
accepting
friends.
and
Exactly.
want to let you in the group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. We all can be in that position at different times. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I think that being aware and then taking steps to be inclusive is really, really important.
Definitely.
Yep. Now don't go away. When we return, we will talk about the necessary steps to take when you or someone you know is being bullied, harassed, or discriminated against. We'll be right back.
There are amazing things to discover in the forest.
Toothless, time to go! What you picking up on, bud?
It's a whole hidden world of wonders. And the perfect place to spend time with family. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
Welcome back to U-Talk. In our last segment, we talked about creating a positive learning environment where all students matter and feel a sense of belonging. Now we are going to talk to our panel of students about how to report an incident involving bullying, harassment, and discrimination. Welcome back, panelists. Hello. We have been talking about accepting others and including others and trying to build a strong, sense of community within our schools, and how each school is doing that, and different, things that you all can do as individuals or within your peer group to reach out to others who might feel isolated or alone. And whether it's happened to you personally or whether it's happened to someone that you know or you've seen it happen, our school district's definition of bullying in New Hanover County states that bullying is the intimidation of others by real or threatened infliction of physical, verbal, written, electronically transmitted, or emotional abuse, or through attacks on the property of another. So it's kind of all-encompassing, because that's the negative behavior and things that we're trying to avoid within our schools and within our communities, so that everyone feels safe. That's the most important part. But what do you do, or what has happened before, or maybe what you know? Let's start with what you know about what to do when there is an incident like this, where it does feel like there's an imbalance of power, and that attack on a person is repetitive, where it just kind of keeps happening. Maybe little comments are made here and there. Maybe, where something starts as like playfulness, perhaps, or, something to get someone's attention, turns into, the boundaries are now crossed, the lines are kind of blurred, and that other person on the other side is feeling, hurt and feeling threatened by the words or actions of others. What do you know in terms of what to do? What steps do you take?
I've never been bullied, but I've seen people get bullied. Because last year, this person, I'm not saying any names, but this person was bullying somebody, and they all went to go tell a teacher, her and some of her friends, and she went to go tell a teacher. I went with them because, she was my friend.
Sure. Did you and your friend feel supported when you went to the teacher and talked about the situation and what occurred?
Well, yeah, but mostly the principal helped us, because the teacher told the principal.
Sure. So there is a phase or stages of reporting, and then as it gets shared with trusted adults, whether it's your parents, whether it's a staff member or a close teacher that you feel comfortable talking with, that obviously can't really stay within those limits, because if it does, then nothing really can be done about it. And so it's important to then have the parent or the teacher go to a counselor or an administrator and report that type of action or behavior, the negative action or behavior that is making the person feel unsafe. So then after that, what happens? Was your friend or anyone else that you know, or in that specific incident or situation, did you feel like, a lot of students right now are saying like, oh, well, if you tell, you're a snitch, and in terms of like being labeled even more for reporting and doing the right thing. How do you handle that in middle school? Have you heard about that? Do people tease others about that? Yeah, it's unfortunate. Because you're kind of trapped.
You want to do the right thing, but you also don't want everyone to be like mad at you.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And it's a real issue. It's a very complex issue, because you want to do the right thing and follow the rules and procedures, but at the same time, it almost forces you to be silent, because you don't want the retaliation or to feel even more excluded. But we are all here today, and a lot of what we do within our schools to promote a positive, strong learning environment is to let students know it's okay to report. You need to report. Stand up. Be strong. Be with your friend, even though it didn't happen to you. What a great thing that you did to be by, her side when she went through that. Sadie, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Somewhere, I'm not saying where, a girl or a woman told another woman something, and then her best friend or coworker or something like that called her a snitch in front of the entire workplace, and she almost didn't tell the boss that it happened because she didn't want to be embarrassed again.
Sure.
This happened to my friend, and she told her mom in the car, and her mom made us drive back to the school and tell the teacher because someone broke a piano, one of her friends did, and she didn't want to get her friend in trouble, but she knew that it was the right thing to tell, so she just asked for them not to say any names.
Right. And a lot of it does stay confidential during and throughout the whole process, but when, students are reporting, they do take that risk to, bring attention to the matter, which is important because if it's an unsafe situation or there again is that imbalance of power and it keeps happening, it's hard for any other adult to step in and to make that situation improve. Because sometimes, unfortunately, it does get worse before it gets better, but always report and follow the procedures and let someone know what either you personally are going through or what your friends are going through or what you see others who are isolated and alone going through. Sully, what were you thinking?
You personally, you shouldn't get hurt by it because that person, they're doing it for fun, or and you shouldn't really be doing it for fun. And that shouldn't bring yourself down. That should bring the other person down.
Exactly. Well, thank you all so much. That wraps up our program this month. I'm Megan Demolina. On behalf of my co-host Paige Turner and the entire UTalk panel, thanks for watching. We hope you'll submit questions to our show and tune in again next month for an all-new episode of UTalk.